Starting an Amazon business might not be what you think it is, especially not now in 2020. And I want to break down why sometimes I wouldn't recommend you even think about starting an Amazon business. I don't mean to start 2020 with negativity, but I do want to make a commitment to be more vocal about what selling on Amazon really is like. I feel like I used to do that more and somehow I forgot to make videos like these anymore. So let's start by showing you my sales right here. So it is January 2020. Sales are usually higher for me during this time, apparently. Higher than Q4 even. But obviously these are sales and not profits, and I'll be making more videos, or actually one of the next videos is about my profits and how they're not as high as you might think they are. But in this video, I want to shed light on who I wouldn't recommend Amazon to and who I would recommend this type of business to, because this business model is definitely not for everyone. And then I want to end the video by mentioning why I wouldn't recommend to some people. So make sure to stick to the end to hear about why it might not be for you. If you're new here, my name is Brax. Welcome to the channel. I'm all about giving you free, accessible, organized information and sharing my own personal, honest journey with Amazon FBA. So if this sounds good to you and it sounds like your kind of vibe, make sure to subscribe and click on the bell to keep getting my cool free stuff and updates on what I'm up to with my business. So I made a post in my Facebook group and I said, Amazon FBA is not for you if fill in the blank. I'll post a link to the group in the description if you want to join it after this video. It got a lot of interesting comments, as you can see right here. But now I want to start by mentioning who I wouldn't recommend this business to, because I get a lot of messages on Facebook and Instagram and on YouTube saying, hey, I'd love your opinion on this. I want to start this because this and that. And a lot of times I'm like, this is probably not for you. Please don't get into this. You're going to have a lot of headaches. I try to word it nicely, but yeah, let's get into who I would say this to. So if you don't know, I sell on Amazon, and the way you do that is you look for products that are in high demand, low competition, and that you can differentiate. You source them from China, you send them to Amazon warehouses where they're stored, and you put up a listing on Amazon. Once a customer buys from your listing, Amazon fulfills that order and sends it to the customer, and then you pretty much don't have to do anything physically. That was the business model in one sentence, but I'm assuming everyone watching knows what I'm talking about. So the first person that I wouldn't recommend this business to is someone who is broke and desperate. Again, I get a lot of messages that say, hey, I just lost my job, or I've been unemployed and I really want to make this work and I want to succeed. The first thing that goes through my mind is there's no way this is going to happen. There's no way you're going to succeed if you don't have a source of income, if you don't have enough money to feed that business. What I'd recommend you do is do something else to make some money. And if you really want to do Amazon FBA and you're broke and you don't have any money, then work for someone who's doing it. Because on one hand, you get to experience the whole business, you get to learn for free and get paid for it, and you get to prepare yourself for success because now you know what to do. You'll have enough cash later to do it yourself, and then you can launch your product while still working for that person. So if you're broke and desperate, please either do what I just said or try to make money elsewhere where you don't need a lot of cash and you don't need consistent cash that needs to be put into the business. The second person that I wouldn't recommend this business to is someone who wants to quit their job within a few months. So again, I get these messages and they're like, hey, I hate my job and I'm giving myself a deadline of 1 month or 2 months to quit. I need this to work, please help me. Again, the first thing that I say is I really cannot help you if this is your goal. You're not going to start this business and quit your job within 2 months. You're going to need a lot of money to start it. You're going to need more money to launch more products. And if your goal is to grow the business, then that means that every new product needs more money, which means that it's going to be hard to pay yourself, which means that you're not going to be able to quit your job within 2 months. The third person that I wouldn't recommend this type of business to is the kind of person that believes or falls into the whole Lamborghini beach lifestyle hype of the business. So if you're watching videos about Amazon FBA, if you looked up Amazon FBA, the top videos have usually a Lamborghini in the back. They have a fancy car. They're selling you a dream when it really, most of the time, isn't like that. If you feel like that's you, like you're excited by the hype of the Lamborghini lifestyle and you want to do Amazon FBA specifically, I'd recommend you look elsewhere and you try to find people who are less famous on YouTube, people who are actually selling on Amazon with a lot of products. So I've been selling for 2 to 3 years. This new product, it's been selling for a year, or 2 products now. So I have some experience, but I still learn from a lot of people that have 20 to 40 products. They've been through everything. So please be careful from the videos that you find on YouTube. Unfortunately, the ones that rank the highest, sometimes, not always, but sometimes are not coming from the most educated people or most experienced people. Because it's easy to talk about this, but it's not easy to make it happen and make a living off of it. Exhibit A, I still haven't paid myself much from it. So these next few type of people, I'm gonna put them in yellow right here. And that's because I wouldn't recommend, or maybe I would recommend it, but I'd make sure to explain to them and make sure that they're cautious about what they're getting into. So the first type of person is someone who's gonna half-ass it, someone who's gonna do this on the side but not be too serious about it. This should be obvious. I mean, it should be treated as a business. It should be something that you're serious about and something that you're really invested in, because you're gonna put a bunch of money into it. You might as well do it right. The second type of person is someone who doesn't have 3 times the amount that you would need to make the first order. So let's say your first order is gonna cost you $2,000 to $5,000. I would hope that you have 2 to 3x of that money in the bank. And like I said, I'm mentioning these types of people, but at the end of the video, I'm gonna mention specific examples of what would happen if you'd go through the business if you're that type of person, and pretty much why I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, for this type of person, you need a lot of money to start this business, and I'll mention why in a second. But it is yellow because I made it happen without having 3x in the bank. You can get credit cards, but I'm not gonna recommend that to you. That's up to you. I would never recommend it from the start. I'd maybe think of recommending it after you have some proof of sales, after you've sold a bit. And that's what I did. I got a credit card, I got a line of credit. So it's possible, but it's not highly recommended. And like I said, these ones in orange or yellow or whatever, it means please be cautious. So the next one is someone who is not a problem solver. So this came up a lot in the Facebook group when I made that post. You really need to be a problem solver to succeed in any business, I feel like. But especially in this one, because you're figuring everything out on your own. You're at home on your laptop. No one around you knows anything about what you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing. So you need to be willing, or you need to be able, or the kind of person to go hunt for a solution, to go ask around, to become friends with a bunch of other sellers, and be willing to ask questions after you've done your own research and figure things out. The last yellow one that I want to mention is if you're the type of person that wants to replace their income within a year. So in red, I said if you want to replace your income within 2 months, that's a big no-no. If it's within a year, I've seen people do it. But also, if your plan is to grow, then again, it's hard to take money out of the business. I'll link a video at the end of this one of an interview I did with a friend of mine who within, I think, 15 months or even less, he quit his job, his engineering job, to do Amazon full-time. But he has a very special case where his lead time is short, his profit margins are higher, and he just did very well. He crushed it. So again, it's yellow because it's possible, but be careful. So let's get into who I would recommend this to. I'm gonna put these up in green. And I'm gonna list them quickly because most of these are pretty obvious. So someone who is a go-getter, someone who is a problem solver, someone who is highly motivated, and someone mentioned this in the group. You have to have a very strong why, because you're gonna be tested a lot along the way. You're not gonna be as motivated on day 100 as you were on day 0. But if your why is strong, and if the reason that you're doing this is very strong and clear, then you can overcome anything and keep that fire going and keep figuring things out. Which ties into the next one. I call it immigrant fire because if you don't know me, I'm an immigrant. I live in Canada. I've been here for 3 years only. And from what I've seen, from experience, everyone who's an immigrant who I've met here, especially in this business, they have a chip on their shoulder, sort of. They have a special type of fire that other people might not have or might not have accessible as easily. We want to make things happen. We want to succeed. So if you are an immigrant, I feel like you automatically have an advantage of just having that motivation of figuring things out and making something happen out of nothing. And that's not a rule. Obviously, there are some immigrants who are bums, but hopefully you're not. Ready to sacrifice. You need to be ready to sacrifice a lot of friendships, a lot of time, a lot of sweat, blood, tears, all these things that people mention, because it is going to be tough. I'm sure you know by now after everything that I just mentioned, it's going to be tough, but you need to push through and sacrifice. I've sacrificed a bunch of friends for this. I've sacrificed a bunch of time for this. Well, a lot of time, mostly all my time. So as long as you know to expect this, you should be fine. Next one is you should be willing to do this on the side for a long time. Again, like I mentioned in the red and the yellow, it's not easy to replace your income very quickly. And it's even better to probably almost never replace your income with this, which sounds counterintuitive because you're starting this to make money. But if your goal is to grow a lot, you're gonna keep needing more money and more loans probably. So if you're willing to do this on the side for a while or figure out a way to make money from it on this side, which I'm going to talk about in a video soon. If you want to see that, subscribe and click on the bell. Basically how to make money from Amazon, but not really from Amazon. And yeah, the more you can delay taking money out of the business, the quicker and better and easier it'll grow. Even though sometimes I feel like if you do take money out of it, it sort of helps you force yourself to profit and helps you force yourself to figure out the numbers. So it's like somewhere in between. And the last one, this is for you if you're ready for a crazy learning curve. Anytime I feel like I figured out something, the next day I'm like, oh, there's a lot more to learn. Anytime I have some confidence, the next day I'm like, oh, I know nothing and I suck and this is not gonna work out. But then the next day I keep going because I really want to make this work, because I see the future in it, and then just because that's how it is. One day, some days you're motivated, some days you're not, and you just have to keep going. So let me go back for a second to the red and green and mention why I wouldn't recommend to these people. So the first one was, if you're broke, this is obviously not gonna work out for you because you need money for the initial investment to start this business. The way we do it is we buy products in bulk. So we buy 1,000 units, let's say. It's gonna cost you, let's say, $5,000. You need that money upfront to pay it. And you're not gonna see that money until a while later because you buy it in bulk, but then you start selling one item at a time. And not the same day, because you have to ship it, you have to manufacture it, you have to ship it, and that's when you start selling. But then you're selling 1 a day or 10 a day. And then you have to sell all these 1,000 to get that 5,000 back and more. So if you understand how this cash flow cycle thing works, you're gonna have to have money to order that portion, but also to order more if you wanna get more products, but also to order more if you wanna replenish one of these products before getting paid the whole bulk back. So if you're broke and have no job, I don't know how this can work for you, unless if you do a different type of model where you do some arbitrage. We can talk about that later. Same thing goes for when I said if you want to quit soon. You're gonna order, you're gonna need more money, you're not gonna have that money, you're gonna have to use your own money or you're gonna have to borrow money. You're not gonna be able to pay yourself because you're using that money to grow the business or to even maintain it. Last red one I mentioned was the Lambo hype lifestyle. These guys, a lot of them are making money from selling you the dream. Anytime they're talking about the dream, or most times, I don't want to make rules, but most times someone is selling you a dream, they're not making money from that dream that they're selling you because they're making money off of you. And I don't want this to be an anti-course thing, but because I do believe in courses and getting information from good sources, but when it's a bad source, a lot of times you can spot these when there's a Lamborghini and when there's the beach and when they're selling you something and not talking too much about the business model itself, then they're making money off of you a lot more than they're making money off of Amazon. And I do the same in terms of making more money on here than on Amazon, but I try to be honest and tell you, hey, this has worked out for me luckily, and Amazon, I'm still trying to build it more and more. I don't want to take too much money out of it. Then yellow, I said, it's not gonna work out if you're half-assing it. There's always gonna be someone working 2 or 3 times as hard as you. So if you're doing this without being too serious about it, there's really no point because you're gonna try to sell your product and rank above some people, but then everyone else is working twice as hard as you, so their product is gonna show up because they're working harder than you, and then no one's gonna see your product. Next one was having 3 times the order, and I feel like I already mentioned this, but you need to make that initial order, and then you need to reorder a lot of the times way sooner than you think. And like I said, that initial order's money is not gonna come back for a while. So not having 2x or 3x in the bank is gonna be a problem, but I put it in yellow because I figured it out. Other people have figured it out as they went with their credit cards or with friends' money or family's money, but I'm not gonna recommend that to you. That's up to you. So that's why it's in yellow. It's like, know about this at least so that you know what to expect. Next one was you're not a problem solver. One word comes to mind as resourcefulness. Yeah, that. You have to be resourceful. And if you're resourceful, then you should be fine. And then the rest, I feel like they're self-explanatory. Like I mentioned in the next video or a few videos after the next one, I want to show you how to actually make money out of Amazon and how each and every single one of you can make it happen for yourself. And it's not some ranking or selling strategy. I think you're gonna enjoy that one, so make sure to subscribe and click on the bell to see that video when it comes out. If you like this one, click the thumbs up, and click right here if you wanna see the video where I talk to my friend who quit his job within a year of selling on Amazon, and watch him share his story. So click right here to watch it, I'll see you guys there. Peace. Is doing FBA full-time now after leaving his engineering job within less than a year, which is pretty exciting. With what?